Groupthink is a phenomenon when a gathering of individuals get together and begin to think on the whole with one mind. The gathering is more concerned with keeping up solidarity than with unbiasedly assessing their circumstance, choices and alternatives. The gathering, all in all, has a tendency to take unreasonable activities, or overestimate their positions or good rightness.
Compliance has a tendency to happen in disengaged gatherings, particularly in gatherings with no acceptable standards for choice-making and in gatherings where the majority of the individuals included have comparable foundations. It is ruinous to compelling considering. A few illustrations of mindless conformity or groupthink incorporate the accompanying: a little nation that is disengaged from others, and that is comprised of individuals who need to accept that the nation is a noteworthy world superpower. The nation might in the long run start to think as an aggregate entire that they are more effective than they are and may commit a deadly error like going to war with a bigger and all the more intense country. A detached gathering of individuals from the same racial and ethnic foundation who don't have the foggiest idea about any individuals actually who are unique in relation to them. The gathering may come to doubt or even detest outcasts on the grounds that they don't comprehend them, and in light of the fact that they need to strengthen the ethical predominance and solidarity they could call their own gathering. A gathering of individuals who immovably have confidence in one specific restricted political perfect and who just watch news that backings their optimal and who just connect with individuals who concur with them. The gathering may come to detest and doubt individuals who can't help contradicting them and may come to overestimate their energy and impact. A gathering of representatives at an organization with an item that is rapidly getting to be obsolete who are unwilling to consider new distinct options for development in the business. The workers might by and large live in our current reality where they can't comprehend why their item is not offering and may decline to recognize the monetary reality that they can't make do without progressing.
Jenna suggested that groupthink happens when there is a strong, persuasive group leader, a high level of group cohesion, intense pressure from the outside to make a good decision. In fact, it is now widely recognized that groupthink-like behavior is found in many situations and across many types of groups and team settings. So it's important to look out for the key symptoms. Symptoms of groupthink rationalization. This is when team members convince themselves that despite evidence to the contrary, the decision or alternative being presented is the best one. Those other people don't agree with us, because they haven't researched the problem as extensively as we have. Peer pressure. When a team member expresses an opposing opinion or questions the rationale behind a decision, the rest of the team members work together to pressure or penalize that person into compliance. Well, if you really feel that we're making a mistake, you can always leave the team. Complacency. After a few successes, the group begins to feel like any decision they make is the right one, because there's no disagreement from any source. Our track record speaks for itself. We are unstoppable. Moral high ground. Each member of the group views him or herself as moral. The combination of moral minds is therefore thought not to be likely to make a poor or immoral decision. When morality is used as a basis for decision-making, the pressure to conform is even greater, because no individual wants to be perceived as immoral. We all know what is right and wrong, and this is definitely right. Stereotyping. As the group becomes more uniform in their views, they begin to see outsiders as possessing a different and inferior set of morals and characteristics from themselves. These perceived negative characteristics are then used to discredit the opposition. Lawyers will find any excuse to argue, even when the facts are clearly against them. Censorship. Members censor their opinions in order to conform. If everyone else agrees, then my thoughts to the contrary must be wrong. Information that is gathered is censored so that it also conforms to, or supports the chosen decision or alternative. Don't listen to that nonsense. They don't have a clue about what is really going on. Illusion of unanimity. Because no one speaks out, everyone in the group feels the group's decision is unanimous. This is what feeds the groupthink, and causes it to spiral out of control. I see we all agree, so it's decided then. The challenge for any team or group leader is to create a working environment in which groupthink is unlikely to happen. It is important also to understand the risks of groupthink. If the stakes are high, you need to make a real effort to ensure that you're making good decisions. To avoid groupthink, it is important to have a process in place for checking the fundamental assumptions behind important decisions, for validating the decision-making process, and for evaluating the risks involved. For significant decisions, make sure your team does the following in their decision-making process: explores objectives, explores alternatives, encourages ideas to be challenged without reprisal, examines the risks if the preferred choice is chosen, tests assumptions. If necessary, goes back and re-examines initial alternatives that were rejected, gathers relevant information from outside sources, processes this information objectively, has at least one contingency plan. There are many group techniques that can help with this, including the mind tools. By using one or more of these techniques to accomplish aspects of the group's work, you will vary the group's ways of working, and so guard against groupthink and help make better decisions.
However, if groupthink does set in, it's important that you recognize and acknowledge it quickly, so that you can overcome it and quickly get back to functioning effectively. Follow these steps to do this. Even with good group decision-making processes in place, be on the lookout for signs of groupthink, so you can deal with them swiftly. If there are signs of groupthink, discuss these in the group. Once acknowledged, the group as a whole can consciously free up its decision-making. Assess the immediate risks of any decision, and the consequences for the group and its customers. If risks are high, for example risk of personal safety, make sure you take steps to fully validate any decision before it is ratified. If appropriate, seek external validation, get more information from outside, and test assumptions. Use the bullets above as a starting point in diagnosing things that needs to change. Introduce formal group techniques and decision-making tools, such as the ones listed above, to avoid groupthink in the future. Key points: groupthink can severely undermine the value of a group's work and, at its worst, it can cost people their lives. On a lesser scale, it can stifle teamwork and leave all but the most vocal team members disillusioned and dissatisfied. If you're on a team that makes a decision you don't really support but you feel you can't say or do anything about it, your enthusiasm will quickly fade. Teams are capable of being much more effective than individuals, but when groupthink sets in, the opposite can be true. By creating a healthy group working environment, you can help ensure that the group makes good decisions and manages any associated risks appropriately. Group techniques such as brainstorming and six thinking hats can help with this, as can other decision-making and thinking tools.